always thought betrayal would hit like a car crash, loud, violent, impossible to ignore. Turns out it's more like waking up at 2 a.m. in a house you no longer recognize. That was me, standing in our kitchen in suburban Virginia, holding my wife's phone. Not shaking. Not yelling. Just still. Cold. Reading through texts I was never supposed to see. She thought she was clever, using Signal instead of regular iMessage, disabling notifications, deleting everything. But comfort makes people sloppy. And Melissa had gotten way too comfortable. Can't wait to see you again, babe. Tell him you've got another conference next week. I'll book the hotel. Every message was a quiet shot to the ribs. But I didn't bleed. I calculated. The guy? Of course it was Ethan. Silicon Valley wannabe with his fake hustle, driving a leased Tesla and still living off his dad's trust fund in Palo Alto. Always bragging about his grind set while sipping $8 matcha lattes. But apparently that was more exciting than me, the quiet husband who paid for everything and never made a scene. I placed the phone back like it was wired to explode, then walked into my home office. Sat down, opened my MacBook, and started listing assets, accounts, joint credit, mortgage, brokerage. I've been handling our finances for years. She never even checked the Chase app. Didn't know the passwords. Didn't care. That's what gave me power. Step 1, I started moving money. Not enough to trigger alerts. Just subtle shifts, $3K here, $5,000 there, into accounts only I controlled. She didn't notice. Step 2, debt. If you've got someone's social, birth date, mother's maiden name, you can do things. Open things. Under their name. Slowly. Quietly. Step 3, patience. The most powerful tool in my hand. Let her think she's winning. Let her get reckless. Because people in love with the thrill? They always make mistakes. She thought I was boring. Predictable. She had no idea I was already 10 moves ahead. She was playing checkers. I was playing chess. And the board? It was mine. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have said I was happy. Not the fireworks kind. The steady domestic kind. French press coffee at 7 a.m., Melissa in an oversized hoodie scrolling TikTok on the couch, soft jazz playing on the kitchen speaker. Sundays at Trader Joe's, fighting over which oat milk tastes better. It was predictable. Safe. Ours. Weeknights, we'd eat together. Sometimes takeout, Thai from that place on L Street. She loved trashy reality TV, Love Island, The Bachelor. I'd pretend to ignore it while secretly rooting for the messiest contestant. Sometimes she caught me watching and would smirk, told you you'd get hooked. I'd roll my eyes but never changed the channel. It felt right. Until it didn't. Until she stopped falling asleep next to me. Stayed up late on her phone with the screen dimmed. Claimed she was working on a campaign deck. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Then came the self-care kick. New Lululemon sets. Pilates classes at 6 a.m. That wouldn't have raised any red flags except Melissa hated working out. Suddenly she had protein powder, a gym bag, and a glow I hadn't seen in years. One night I joked, "Who's making you smile like that?" "Your personal trainer," expecting a laugh and maybe a meme. She looked up too quickly. "Just a friend." Then looked back down. I should have asked. But I didn't. Because sometimes love makes you willfully blind. And I didn't want to see what was already there. There were business trips. Client meetings in Chicago. Campaign pitch in Austin. At first, they made sense. Her job required travel. But then they became last minute. Sloppy. She once booked a hotel under a name that didn't match her company's booking system. I asked about it. She got defensive. "It's a mistake. You're being weird." I let it go. And the intimacy? God. It faded like paint in the sun. Short kisses. Rushed hugs. "I'm tired," she'd say, rolling away. I believed her. I believed all of it. Because it's easier to believe a lie than to admit your life might be one. The moment everything changed didn't come through a notification. It came through perfume. She came home from a networking event in Philly, rolling her away suitcase through the front door, coat over her shoulder, flashing that tired smile. She leaned in to kiss me, and that's when I smelled it. Not hers. Melissa always wore Le Labo. Santal 33. Subtle, clean, familiar. This was heavier. Musky. Masculine. And clinging to her skin. New perfume. I asked casual, watching her eyes. She blinked, just once. "Oh no. Just tried something my coworker gave me." Smooth. Practiced. But I wasn't buying it. Melissa wasn't the spontaneous type. She's the kind of woman who orders the same iced oat latte from Starbucks every single morning, who keeps her toothbrush and skincare in a labeled pouch when she travels. She doesn't try something new. Not without a reason. That night, I didn't confront her. I took note. Then I started observing everything. How she started keeping her phone face down. How she'd walk into another room to take calls. How she suddenly had a lock on her laptop, a MacBook that for 7 years had never required a password at home. One night, I tried. Her birthday. No. Our anniversary. No again. Interesting. I didn't push. Just document it. Because people like her expect confrontation. They expect yelling, guilt trips, tears. What they never expect is silence. I stopped asking questions. I just started collecting evidence. One late Friday night, she claimed she was staying at her friend Amy's in Bethesda. Girls' night, she said, grabbing her overnight bag and giving me a kiss on the cheek. At 2:37 a.m., I woke up alone. The bed untouched. I didn't panic. Didn't text. Didn't call. I just waited. She came back at 5:11 a.m. I was in the kitchen, sipping coffee, reading emails. Calm. You're up early, she said, clearly surprised. Couldn't sleep, I said. How was Amy's? She hesitated. My phone died, so I just stayed over. Another lie. Her phone was in her coat pocket, fully charged. I didn't respond. Just nodded. She looked relieved. But what she didn't know was this: the game had already started. And I never play to lose. Melissa always thought she was careful. She kept her texts clean. Used private apps. Turned off location tracking. But she forgot one thing: people always leave a trail. One night, she left her work laptop charging in the den. Unusual. She normally carried it around like it held state secrets. She said she was exhausted and went to bed early. Perfect. It took me 3 minutes to get in. Her new password wasn't new at all, just an old variation she once used for Netflix. I'd seen her fingers type it too many times not to recognize the rhythm. The moment I was inside, I didn't go for the inbox. I went for the drafts. That's where people leave their real mess. Unsent emails. Half-typed confessions. Messages she thought about sending but deleted before they left the screen. I found Ethan's name there. I think he suspects. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. And then, tell me this is worth it. That line stuck. Because it meant she had doubts. That she still believed she was in control. She wasn't. After that came the bank. Not our joint Chase account. A separate one. Just under her name. Opened 8 months ago. Transactions in places she never mentioned, rooftop bars in D.C., hotel charges under vague vendor names, cash withdrawals from sketchy ATMs in Adams Morgan. Melissa was always meticulous with money. But suddenly she was moving like someone who had something to hide. Then I checked her car. She turned off location tracking on her phone, sure, but she forgot the Subaru app linked to her Forester logs every single trip. Every stop. Every address. I watched her route history like it was Netflix. She said she had a late-night client dinner in Georgetown. The car? Parked outside a luxury condo in Arlington for 3 hours. Said she was meeting a friend for brunch in Capitol Hill. Her car was at the Darcy Hotel in Bethesda. She thought she was untouchable. But I already had everything I needed. And the best part? She had no idea. No clue that the husband she thought was blind was quietly documenting every lie. She was still smiling at me across the dinner table. Still texting him while I washed the dishes. Still thinking she was winning. But the board was mine. And I was almost ready to move the queen. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just printed everything. I had receipts. Hotel bookings. Screenshots of her conversations with Ethan. Financial statements from the secret account. Car GPS logs. All stacked in a neat manila folder. Her name on the front. Sharpie. All caps. I left it on the kitchen table. Friday night. I was drinking whiskey. Neat. She walked in, tossing her bag on the counter, already half checking her phone. Hey, she said casually. Then she saw the folder. What's this? I didn't answer. Just looked at her. The kind of look you give someone who's already told one too many lies. She opened it. Page 1. Then 2. Then 10. Her face felt like a house of cards. That's when her phone buzzed. Again. Again. Ethan. But she wasn't smiling now. She was frozen. Tapping the screen. His messages weren't coming. He wasn't responding. Because I had sent him everything too. Every photo. Every transaction. Every line she'd ever typed. From a burner email. Anonymous. Ruthless. Clean. I watched her hands start to tremble. Watched her eyes dart back and forth. Then I spoke. Calm. Steady. You should check your accounts. She paused. Slowly unlocked her banking app. Stared at the balance. Then stared again. Empty. Frozen. Credit maxed. Everything she thought she had gone. This isn't real, she whispered. But it was. All of it. Realer than anything she'd ever said to me in the last 8 months. "We can talk," she said, tears finally starting to form. "We can fix this." I smiled. No warmth. Just precision. "There's nothing to fix." I slid the divorce papers across the table. "Already signed. Already filed. I just need your signature." Her hand hovered over the pen. "Please," she started. "Please, I didn't mean to cheat," I said, voice flat. "Or didn't mean to get caught." She started crying harder now. But I wasn't moved. Not anymore. Because tears are cheap when you've already burned the house down. She picked up the pen. Hands shaking. Signed. After she signed the papers, I didn't slam the door. I didn't say anything cinematic. I just left. Quiet. Final. And then I watched her life collapse piece by piece. First came Ethan. Or more accurately, the absence of him. She texted. Called. Begged. Nothing. No replies. No read receipts. Nothing but silence. Because once he realized she had nothing left to offer, no money, no escape plan, no future, he vanished. No explanation. No goodbye. Just a cold withdrawal like flipping a switch. Then came her job. Marketing agency in Arlington. Fast-paced, image-obsessed, built on personal branding. And her brand? Burned. Word got around. HR called her in for a reputation-related concern. She didn't even fight it. She knew. 2 weeks later, she was officially no longer with the company. Friends followed. Slowly at first. Then all at once. She stopped getting invites. Group chats went silent. Even her best friend unfollowed her on Instagram. People don't stick around when your name tastes like scandal. They want clean air. And she reeked of fire. The final blow? Her parents. I didn't tell them anything. I didn't have to. They saw the papers. The photos. The timeline. I sent it all in one simple, unmarked envelope. No anger. Just facts. And facts speak louder than tears. At Thanksgiving, she sat alone at the end of the table. Her father barely looked at her. Her mother cried, but not for her. For me. I watched from afar. Never said a word. Never replied to her texts. Never answered her calls. Because she didn't deserve closure. She deserved silence. While she spiraled, I rebuilt. Quietly. My money untouched. My name clean. My peace restored. I was free. She, on the other hand, was trapped. In debt. Unemployed. Alone. And the most brutal part? She did it to herself. I didn't ruin her life. I just stopped protecting her from the consequences of her own decisions. And now she had to live in them. Every day. I saw her one more time. Months later. By accident. It was a Tuesday afternoon in D.C. at a cafe near DuPont Circle. I was picking up a cold brew between meetings. She was sitting alone by the window. No makeup. Hair pulled into a messy bun. Clothes wrinkled like she'd stopped caring. She looked smaller. Not physically, just diminished. She saw me. Our eyes met. And for a split second I saw it. That flicker. Recognition. Regret. Shame. But she didn't say a word. Just looked away, like even trying to speak would break her. I didn't approach. I didn't nod. I didn't offer a fake smile. I just picked up my drink and walked out. Not because I hated her. Because there was nothing left to say. And that, I think, was the final blow. She thought the worst thing that could happen was losing me. She was wrong. The worst thing was realizing she'd gambled everything for nothing. She had a husband who handled everything. Who paid the bills. Who never strayed. Who loved quietly, fiercely, completely. And she threw it all away for a man who ghosted her the moment things got hard. She thought she could lie and cheat and still land on her feet. But life isn't a softball. Not when the person you betrayed was the only one holding the net. People say revenge is a waste of time. That it poisons you too. But they've never tasted the quiet satisfaction of walking away from someone who finally understands what they lost. I didn't need to destroy her. I just needed her to see the truth and sit in it. And now every time she looks in the mirror, she has to live with that reflection. The woman who ruined her own life with her own hands. I moved on. Not because I healed. But because I'd already won. She's still stuck in the ashes, hoping the fire will relight. It won't. Some bridges don't burn. They collapse. And she's standing on the edge of one alone, wondering how she got there. But me? I'm already gone.